The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the world of MSO consolidation and success strategies for the independent collision shops. I'm Melissa Joles with RDA and IMPACT, and David Luehr, owner of Elite Body Shop Solutions, is your presenter for this webinar. The presentation will take approximately 40 minutes, and we are recording it, and we'll post it on the website under training videos. Feel free to type in any questions throughout the presentation in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. It's to the right, and David will answer those throughout the presentation. I'll give him the questions. There's no such thing as a bad question, so don't hold back. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to David.
All right, well, thank you very much, Melissa, and I appreciate the RDA IMPACT Elite members having me back. I appreciate it. I hope you'll find today's presentation very helpful. This is information I've spent most of my life learning and practicing, and it's always exciting for me to be able to share it with you as I'm very passionate about it. So my hope today is to provide you with some information that will allow you guys to worry less about the negative effects that consolidation may have on your business, and hopefully allow you to focus on what really counts, and that's improving your collision repair businesses. So let's get started. This is kind of our objectives today. We're going to talk about some of the things that consolidators are doing right, and believe it or not, they are doing some things right. And there's some things that we can learn from them if we pay attention. I want to talk about the advantages that the MSOs have over the independents, and then kind of give you some suggestions on what you can do to kind of help level the playing field somewhat. And then I'm going to talk to you about positive deviance. So what are some of the shops that are super successful in the consolidated markets? What are they doing differently that some of the not so successful shops are doing? And then I'm going to share a few secrets I've learned over the years with you after that. So most of you probably know a lot of this information already, and that's perhaps why you're here today. We know that there's somewhere between 30,000 and 37,000 shops in the United States. I'm not sure anybody knows the exact amount, but here's some statistics that are fairly recent that were published on ABRN. And as you can see here, you know, consolidation is definitely taking its effect. And if you look over here on the graph to the right, 859 total shops in the United States so far, you know, between the big four consolidators. So there's a lot of opportunity for them, and of course, we expect, you know, very rapid growth with these big consolidators. Not sure for how long, and I think some of that is going to depend on us, you know, how strongly we can dominate our own markets as independents. And but as long as there are buying opportunities, I think you can expect this growth to continue at a very rapid pace. So one of the things that the big four MSO consolidators are looking for is they look for an MSA, that's a metro statistical area that have populations around 2 million people. So that would be an area like Nashville or Denver or Charlotte. I wouldn't say they avoid the big metro markets like Atlanta and Chicago. They do have a presence there, but they find it more difficult to penetrate those markets. So they're looking for existing MSOs typically in these 2 million population MSAs. So what they like to do is go in and buy 5, maybe 10 stores, and then that gives them a good solid footprint to kind of begin dominating the marketplace. And then once they've got that under control, then they'll start looking for what they call tuck-in shops. The onesies and twosies they'll buy, you know, in the existing market area. So let me give you my perspective on what makes the consolidators so successful. You guys may remember back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of these companies, including Abra, Caliber, there was an organization called Cara, they really struggled to gain traction. And you probably remember, I think it was around 2005 when we had the big M2 collapse. And the reason that they failed back then was they didn't have a business model that would sustain the growth, and they failed to deliver on a lot of the promises to the insurers. So they went back to the drawing board, and I think, as you will all agree, what they're doing now seems to be working. And so here's what it is. They've got a focus on operational processes. These guys have standard operating procedures on everything they do administratively, and they actually use them. It's a huge part of why they're successful. By doing that, they're able to produce consistent and predictable outcomes, repair job after repair job. They're very big into training. They have Service King University. They have Abra has a intranet site where they can do training and testing. They're huge on that. It's one thing for an employee to tell you they get it, and quite another to prove they get it, and that's why they do testing and auditing as well. And then, of course, accountability. They're going to make sure that you follow the SOPs, or they'll find somebody that will, because their very existence counts on that. So by doing and following this operational model, it gives them some of the outcomes over on the right. Of course, the insurance companies love it. They love it's at their very core as an insurance company in underwriting and risk management to have consistent, predictable outcomes. Obviously, it's easy to duplicate and grow your business using SOPs. Customers like consistency. They like the fact that if you tell them their car is going to be done on Wednesday, that it gets done on Wednesday. And of course, employees like consistency and accountability. Well, some don't, but I kind of liken it to raising a child. They prefer the stability that consistency and accountability brings. It's not for everybody. And then they don't need rock stars to operate these repair centers. And again, I'm not saying they don't have good people. It's just when you're growing this fast, you can't staff every position in your organization with a rock star. So they're able to get ordinary people to do extraordinary things by using this model. So does the operational model used by the consolidators look familiar? It's the same dedication to processes and proven systems that allow companies like McDonald's and Subway to become world giants. And it's proving to be successful for the consolidators as well. So let's talk about quality for a second. There's a bunch of Big Macs right there. Consolidators are being accused of not having good quality, and some of you probably heard that. Maybe some of you have said it yourself. I know I've heard it a lot, and it's usually being said by independent repair shops. And I just want to point out that quality is dictated by the customer, not by us. So if you think a Big Mac is tasty, that could be considered quality. If you're more of a filet mignon guy, you may want to shop somewhere else. The truth is, regardless of what we think their quality is like, the consolidators typically have higher CSI scores than the rest of the industry. So that's the bad news. So here's more bad news. Here's some of the advantages that being a large MSO have over the rest of us. And I won't go into detail on every one of these, but we all know that every time Abra or Caliber or somebody hangs a shingle, they're immediately on every DRP program. And they always have a seat at the table with the insurance industry. Centralized human resource departments. You know, they a lot of the things that, you know, our independent store managers and staff have to do, they've got a centralized person or department that handles that for them. Accounting, how nice would it be to just ship off all your paperwork and have somebody else do the bookkeeping for you? So one thing that really gives these guys a lot of power is the call centers, centralized call center, and then how that turns into centralized load leveling. So one of the ways that the big MSOs are able to have outstanding cycle time is because they believe very much in maintaining an optimum work and process level. So if one store, they have some technology that allows the call center to view all the shops in a market area, and if one shop is overloaded, they'll send it the next incoming repair job to the shop that's not overloaded. And it's a genius system that they have. ICAR Gold Class, online training, self-managed DRP. You know that a lot of the consolidator shops, they don't have, you know, Bob from Allstate Insurance coming and visiting your shop and doing audits like the rest of us. They're self-managed, and from my observations, a lot of the self-managing audits that they do are even more critical and tougher to pass than what a DRP partner might put on us. So that's one thing that they do. They have teams that are dedicated just to that purpose. Marketing team, safety and compliance. You know, again, I'm not going to read all these things, but with all these advantages, it allows their local management to stay focused on just getting the repairs done quickly and auditing the processes, you know, to ensure their KPIs are met. And as independent repairers, I know it can be very frustrating and overwhelming to attempt to do all these things by yourself. If you had to hire people to perform all of these tasks that the consolidators are centralizing, it would cost you thousands of dollars every month. So what can we do about that? There are some services available, you know, outside of your organization that you can turn to for help. You know, if it comes to business coaching and consultants, if you want to get better at something, there's services available for that. Online human resources, if you want to keep yourself out of hot water when you're hiring people or firing people, there are sources that you can turn to that have it all online. And talent assessments, that's something I believe in very much, is getting people to take talent assessments before you agree to hire them. And then, of course, data management. You know, CSI providers, like many of you probably have, but there's also companies out there that can give you a centralized call center, like the big MSOs have, that can provide you with pumped data every day when you show up for work. You can see what your KPIs look like in real time. And of course, safety and environmental compliance. Then I'll jump down to ICAR Gold Class management. How many of you struggle just to keep up with who needs what when it comes to training? In fact, I believe that RDA IMPACT has a source for you to turn to that can handle those type of tasks for you. You know, yeah, these things are going to cost money, and it's not cheap, but typically your return on investment for training and coaching, you know, can actually make you money. So kind of keep an open mind about these things. A lot of this stuff needs to get done if you want to continue to be relevant and competitive. So again, I believe RDA has several of these resources available to their Impact Elite members. So be sure to ask. So Melissa, let's go to some questions. See if anybody has any so far.
I don't see any yet, Dave. But I will reinforce what you said. I mean, we do have automotive training coordinators who can assist with the ICAR training. We have GMG and ViraSafe who can help with the OSHA and compliance issues that the shops face. So we definitely have resources, and make sure you take advantage of everything that we offer.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so still no questions?
Not yet.
All right. Well, I'm just going to keep trucking along here. I know everybody's busy, so so you guys are probably ready for some good news. These qualities on this slide: passion, family culture, customer experience, quality for the discerning, and people still like doing business with local companies. These qualities are difficult, if not impossible, for the consolidators to replicate. So, you know, if you've got a business owner that's passionate, and that passion can be felt out in the shop, it can be transferred into a customer experience that, you know, you could never experience at most of the consolidator shops. I've worked for family businesses in this industry that I love the culture. You know, the employees want to be in that type of a culture if it's a healthy one. And then quality for the discerning. You know, there are people that prefer to have a filet mignon, and they know that, you know, if they take their car down to Bob, the guy that's been fixing their car and their family's cars for the last 20 years, they know they're going to get a great job. There's always that. And I believe people still like doing business with local companies. I talk to people all the time that say that, but it's got to be easy. It's got to be easy for them to do. So those are just some things to think about. So take advantage of these qualities and own that customer, because these are the things that they're not going to be able to duplicate at the large MSO level. So these shops are what I like to call positive deviants. These are the best of the best independents, and I did my own personal little study, and here's what I found. So the positive deviant, first of all, is a shop that is an independent, could be an MSO or a standalone business, but they are in heavily consolidated markets that, instead of becoming a victim, has actually figured out a way to become a beneficiary. And so what I wanted to know is, so what the heck are these guys doing different where everybody else is struggling, and these guys are knocking it out of the park? So I did a little study, and I asked them, you know, typically, you know, the answers I got were what you would expect. Their leadership, quality work. You know, we got great customer service. Our you know, our employees are fantastic. You know, and I get that, and it's very true in these positive deviant shops. But those things anymore are kind of a given. You know, without them, I don't think you can even expect to have a mediocre business. So I searched still deeper and kind of distilled my findings into 3 vital behaviors, and you guys should take a note about this. This is important stuff. So we've got 3 of them. All these shops possess in spades a culture of learning, participation in a peer group or network, measuring the right key performance indicators. Positive deviant shops have these 3 vital behaviors, and the other shops don't. So let's talk about a culture of learning. I want to point out something. There is a Impact Elite member that just won the Member of the Year award. So I want to shout out to Precision Collision Center. I don't know if they're on the call, but I had an opportunity to meet these people in Las Vegas and ask them, you know, what are you guys doing so well? And the first thing they said is, we love to learn. They attribute much of their success to training. And so these positive deviant shops crave knowledge. They really do. They go to webinars, seminars. Many of you on this call are attending a webinar right now. Maybe you possess this culture of learning. They go to clinics. They read books. And I've got a couple books to share with you. They go to NACE and they go to SEMA events. So if you don't believe me, go to www.icar.com and look at the scientific in-depth study that ICAR did, and it's eye-opening. You know, some of the characteristics such as, you know, a shop that's got great leadership abilities, all these things stem from the thirst for knowledge. And look at some of the statistics they found. After just 6 months of ICAR training, cycle times fell 14.35%, touch time rose, CSI scores climbed, you know, pretty dramatic results. So on the subject of books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is probably the most recognized book on my list here, and I put that on my recommended reading list. And there's one section of this called First Things First, and Stephen Covey actually wrote a second book on just that chapter, First Things First. And things in the collision repair business, you know, they're extremely hectic all the time, and it becomes very important to kind of prioritize what's important. And this book will help you kind of take a look at that. Crucial Conversations. This is a book I actually just found out about recently, and it's changed my life. Too many of us don't know how to talk to one another. Influencers by the same authors. If you want to figure out how to make dramatic change in your shop, read Influencer. E-Myth. This is just a business standard. This is a great book about the importance of understanding your different roles, the different hats that you wear, and the importance of building a business that's more like a franchisable business. And then, of course, Leading at Higher Level is another standard business book that I like to recommend. So here is the next vital behavior: participation in a peer group. Let me point out that I use the word participate because there's a huge difference between belonging to and participating in. So mastermind principle, you know, this is a group of people that are facing the same challenges, that all have similar goals, and they're working together to help each other get there. It's a beautiful thing. It creates a friendly, competitive spirit. Accountability, you know, you guys are going to hold each other accountable for getting better in a group. You know, whether you're in a 20 group or an organization such as RDA IMPACT. You know, some of you might be part of a group that your paint company sponsors. These things are very important. It gives you a massive knowledge resource. When you're out there on that island by yourself, you only have your own information in your own brain. You know, when you're in a group, you've got everybody's knowledge. Makes you a better leader, and you get to see behind your own walls a little bit. I've got a client in Nashville, Tennessee. The manager's been there 25 years, and he's never even stepped out of his shop into another shop one time. He's never been in another body shop 25 years. It just astonishes me. So if anybody be interested in participating in a powerful group, you know, please let me know. This is an important one. All right, the third and final vital behavior: measuring the right KPIs. I was reminded by Dan Stander, one of the positive deviant shops that's out of Denver. He says, well, you can't just measure KPIs. You got to measure the right KPIs. And I said, you're right, Dan. You're absolutely right. and you don't want to become immersed in the minutia of meaningless metrics. And you also want to measure KPIs often enough that you can make course corrections instead of waiting till the end of the month until maybe your State Farm dashboard report comes out or your P&L is finalized. You know, it's too late to do anything at that point. So, you know, the positive deviant shops are very good about knowing what to measure and measuring it often. So on that same token, I want to give you a quick lesson on how to measure cycle time. This was a method taught to me by a mentor of mine, a guy named Ron Kewen. I don't know if any of you know Ron, but he's a very well-respected consultant in the industry. And if I ask a shop, how are you going to improve your cycle time? Typically they can't really answer that, or they blame the technicians. So by measuring your cycle time, as you see on the graphic here, from keys to keys would be arrival to delivered. But now if I want to start breaking this down at a deeper level and identifying where the problem areas are, I want to start measuring from arrival to repair start. So that would be repair start date that you put into your management system. And then you start measuring how long does it take to get my blueprinting done? How long does it take to get the critical parts I need to put this thing into full production, right? And once you do have the critical parts, then it goes into repair start, and this is the repair cycle time segment. And the reason it's green is because that's the only time you make any money. So you want it to fly through this green segment, and you want to measure it. If you're having problems with your repair cycle time, it's usually a good indication that there's some pre-production activities you did back in the APR segment that could have been better. For example, you might have some improvements you need to make in your blueprinting program. And then this is some of the lowest hanging fruit I've ever seen, lost on delivery. I can't believe how many days people lose between repair complete and getting the car home. So that's just something that, unless you measure it, you just don't know. But so anyway, I just wanted to share this with you guys. It's kind of a neat way to measure cycle time. So is it brain control or mind control? Now, I believe the secrets we need in order to be successful in life and against MSO consolidation already lies within most of us. It's not a magic pill or a bullet, but it's the ability to lose our egos long enough, take a good hard look in the mirror and admit, I can't do this all by myself. I'm willing to do things differently. I'm willing to open my mind to new learning. It means you're willing to move from your comfort zone to the land where the magic happens. You got to ask yourself, do you have the courage to do that? Questions so far?
None yet. You're doing a thorough job.
What's that?
You're doing a thorough job.
Excellent. I don't want to put anybody to sleep. All right, so let's keep trucking. So back in 1983, while I was still in high school, I went to work for my neighbor's body shop. And by 1988, I thought I knew more than everybody else in the world, and I opened up my own shop. And that handsome guy there in the middle, that's me with the unibrow. And I was one of the first shops in Oregon, and maybe in the country, I don't know, to use Spies Hecker. And we proudly displayed that sticker on my cheap paint booth. I actually started out my business in not the great accommodations you see in the picture here, but it was actually a little shack. I had $100 and a paint gun. And since those days, I've worked in managerial positions, at independent stores, small MSOs, dealerships, and some bigger companies like Mannheim, and also worked for Abra. And my consulting business has given me the wonderful opportunity to visit amazing shops, both large and small, all over this country. And I picked up a few things along the way, and I just want to share them with you. So don't act like a victim and quit stressing out over things you have no control over. I get it. This industry is tough. It's very tough, and it always has been to some level. But I can't stand people that just act like a victim. It's very unproductive. We need to start focusing on the things that we have control over. If you're ticked off about the insurance company DRPs, then go be an activist. Go do something about it. But don't let it cause you to be inactive. Go out and take over the things you do have control over. Get a mentor. I learned from a young age, I don't have all the answers. Get a coach. If you want to be a great tennis player, or if you want to improve your golf game, you're going to go out and probably get a coach, right? Why do us in business not do that too? I don't get it. So I have a coach. Hopefully some of you guys will too. And then learn the new age of leadership and communication. And what the heck does that mean? A lot of the very hardworking, very honest managers and business owners that I work with are still trying to lead using all they know, and that's leadership techniques and management techniques from the industrial age. People don't respond the same way as they did back in those days. So I think it's very important to learn some of the new age leadership and communication techniques. That one of those books I recommended to you, Crucial Conversations, things like that can help you with that. Protect and use your time wisely. Put first things first. And practice with purpose. I'm sure you guys have noticed that you probably had people that you've worked with that have been in the business for 30 years, and yet they don't seem to really know or outperform somebody that's been in the business for only 5 years. So why is that? And I think what happens is after 5 years, many people just quit learning and trying to get better. They just kind of exist. So if you want to get to the next level, if you want to live out your potential, you've got to learn to practice with purpose. So here's kind of the summary, our action plan. So learn to create a franchise-like business by creating training and auditing processes. That's something that we can learn from our friends at the Consolidator MSOs. Level the playing field by utilizing outside resources wherever needed. So if you don't have the resources to help you get where you want to go, there's a lot of experts out there that are here to help you. Capitalize on the advantages the independents have over the consolidators and own that customer. Become a positive deviant and acquire the 3 vital behaviors. Finally, look in the mirror, lose the ego, and unlock that mind. Believe me, I've been there, and I've had, and I have to be reminded of that myself quite often. Melissa, I believe that's it. If there's any questions, I'd love to answer them. And something else I'd like to just say that, this was kind of there was a lot of information compacted into this presentation today. If there's anything specific people would like to expand on in the future, I'd love to hear that. I'd also like to see, any kind of webinar ideas that our participants might have.
And I'll send everybody Dave's information who is on this call, so if you do have any questions or you want to reach out to him, you can do that. I'm not seeing any now, so let everybody go. But I do want to thank everyone. They did send in suggestions on future webinars, and we will certainly do our best to make this training available, and we'll get the information to you. So thanks, everyone, and send our information on upcoming webinars.